Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. My hand is very, very white. So I just got some gas. I'm going to hit the road. The drive from where I live to Orlando is about 2 hours. So I guess I'll go ahead and do that part now. You ever notice how when YouTubers take like a trip and they show like footage of the highway like I just did, like they put some like rockin' music behind it as if it's fun? Like, yeah, we're driving down the highway with some rockin' music. It's not fun. It's just a long drive. It's a 2-hour drive to get to Orlando for me. It's not fun. Well, here we are. I feel like a dork with this stupid stick. We're gonna go inside there. Okay, so we're checked into the room. And by we, I mean you and me, but you're not actually in the room. I'm in the room, but you're watching. Never mind. So I'll give you a tour of the room because I'm sure that'll be super exciting. I'm in Embassy Suites, which means it's a suite, which means it's 2 rooms. So this thing here is like, I can have company over. I guess I could throw a party in here tonight, which I'm not going to. This is a pull-out bed in case the party got out of hand, I guess. Small television set. No idea what this is. Oh, it's a safe. I got a little desk here, some little modern art, microwave, fridge, mirror, coffee. That's very, very important. That's the most important. This thing here, that's the most important thing in the room besides the bed. Oh, look. Now you can tip with a little QR code. That's clever. Little sink. Bathroom. Mirror. Want to see me in the mirror? Filming me. There you go. The usual crap. Not a fancy shower, but it'll do. Proceeding now into the bedroom. So we got a big ass bed, and we got another mirror and yet another sink. There's 3 sinks. Why do I need 3 sinks? Well, I don't, but anyway. Another TV. And then here's the wonderful view of International. So then we got this big cabinet here. And that's because they've got the ironing board entombed in this cabinet. The ironing board likes to cause mischief, and so this is the cage for the ironing board. So I'm connecting to the hotel free Wi-Fi, which is going to be 56K modem speed. So for the convention, I set myself like a $300 limit. I brought basically $300 cash for the convention. I'm not going over that. So if I see some phenomenal deal for $310, no. This is like Vegas. You set an amount and you say, that's what I'm gonna do. I have like 20 guitars. I don't need another one. That said, I'll tell you, I don't think I'm gonna find a guitar here for $300 that I'm gonna wanna buy. However, there's 2 guitars that I would seriously consider. And if I would see one of these and maybe like the frets were bad and it needed fret work, then they might be cheap enough. That would be an Epiphone SG, like a good one, and a Squire Jazzmaster. If I were to see either one of those 2 for $300, hopefully marked down because they need fret work, which I can do, I would probably jump on those. Other than that, I think I'm going to be looking at guitar parts, honestly. Mostly I like to just walk around and talk to people and look at all the cool stuff. I mean, I'm never going to be able to buy a 59 Strat, ever. I'm never going to be able to afford a good vintage guitar, but I can afford to look at them. Check! That's crazy. International Drive is so cool. It's so chill. There's hotels and restaurants on both sides of the street. And there's actually a Friendly's here. I haven't seen one of those in 2 decades. I think I've found where I'm gonna eat dinner. some deep dish pizza. There's no good deep dish pizza anywhere near me, so here we go. So here we have two thrill attractions. This one where they strap you into a seat and shoot you up high into the sky on cables. And then the other thrill is attempting to cross the street without getting hit. Good morning. Last night after dinner, I met this couple. The guy was a DJ, and he also cut hair, and the wife was a hairdresser. They were from Chicago. Met him by the pool, and we had a nice hour-long chat about music. It was really cool. They were in their 40s, so they were closer to my age than not. Of course, she told me their names, and of course, I can't remember them because I can't remember shit these days. But I did tell them about the channel, so hey, if this is you and you happen to be watching this, it was very nice meeting you. Anyway, I'm gonna get some breakfast. So now I'm leaving the hotel. I'm gonna drive over to the convention center in the Gray Ghost, AKA my gray Mustang. Our first picture is a Squier Telly for $4.95. I have no idea why I took this picture. So there were 3 keyboards in the entire expo, and here's one of them. This is a vintage Oberheim OB8 for a mere 10 grand. I have the plugin that sounds like this keyboard. Also a vintage ARP Omni 2 for $2,500. Vintage synth prices are insane, and unlike vintage guitars, these things break down easily. You're better off playing guitar, kids. Here's a Squier Bullet for 80 bucks. Not bad, but I don't need another Strat. This was the least expensive Gibson at the expo. A faded T with dot fret markers for $7.99. Actually, that's a good deal these days. It still sounds like a Les Paul. Here's a Gibson Les Paul Studio with hard case for $900. Again, that's a pretty good deal. It's hard to find any Gibson Les Pauls for under $1,000 out in the real world. I saw one of these PRS SE Silver Skies. $550 is about the going rate, and behind it is a MIM Strat for $550. So this is amusing, right? A Rickenbacker bass for only $350? Obviously, this is a fake, but you know what? I bet somebody bought it. There were several guitar builders at the show. Belltone was one of them. Sort of like a Les Paul Telly shape. A Les Telly? Clifton Guitars made guitars out of rescued wood, which is cool. New Sound Guitars was there with their hollow-bodied electrics that are designed to sound like acoustics through an amp or a PA. And they sounded great. Too rich for my wallet, but they did sound great. Here's a few more New Sound guitars. Sort of like a Telly that melted. And one final picture. I listened to the whole sales pitch, so I figured I should take more than one picture. So Jimmy Wallace Pickups was there, and $375 for a humbucker is, well, I'm just going to say that's too much money for a single pickup. Sorry. Someone was recruiting for the Dallas Guitar Festival in May. A booth is $650, but I would love to go to the Dallas Guitar Show. It's one of the best around. All right. Anybody else have one of these? I had one of these Radio Shack reverbs when I was in high school, and it's not a reverb. It's a Bucket Brigade analog delay. Here's a Rockman stereo amp that was selling for $2,800. That's a big no. As usual, there were a crap ton of used pedals. I had one of those small stone pedals in college. It's a nice pedal. Next to the Roland Space Echo, Be Still My Heart, is a Fender Rhodes bass. The Doors used one of these live. They are very rare. This one was $2,000. I wonder if they sold it. And more pedals. I told you we were going to go quick through this thing, or if I didn't, well, you're figuring it out now. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2 ugliest guitars that Gibson ever made. And speaking of Gibson,
You'd be forgiven for thinking that this logo on the top of this headstock looks fake, all crammed in at the end, right? Nope, that's authentic. Every guitar in this booth had a witty saying on it. This one says, "Tell her you won't buy one after this one." This one says, "This is worth a divorce. Girls come and go. Fenders are hard to find." Ugh. Like, this old sexist crap is not funny. Sorry. And you know you want it. Actually, I don't want that guitar at all. As usual, the amp shop was there with their handmade tube amps. Every one of them sounded damn good. I really like these amps. A few more low-end Gibsons for around $1,000. These are good deals, actually. In another year or two, you will not find any Gibson Les Paul for under $1,000. There's a Studio Deluxe for $1,300, which seems about the going rate these days. And then it was time for lunch. Chicken tenders, fries, and a Coke. And you know what? The Coke was pretty good. Here's a fake Gibson Les Paul, advertised as a fake, for $600. I played it. It was worth around $400 in my opinion. But you know what? Somebody probably talked them down to $500 and bought it. It is a good looking guitar, but I have no interest in owning a fake. I'd rather own an Epiphone that looks like this. More pedals. I figure someone can pause the video if they really want to see the pedals in these pictures. I had to take some time to make fun of this $150 MXR Distortion Plus. This is going to annoy some people. I don't care who played it. I don't care what anybody says. This pedal sounds like a box of bees. It always did and it always will. And if you can get it to sound good, it's because you're putting it into a $3,000 amp. So there are a lot of Fender Blues Junior amps out there between $450 and $500. I like the Blues Junior, but I wish it came with a bigger speaker cabinet. It's a little boxy to my ears, but you can crank it up and that helps. A Kemper makes a rare appearance. Here's a MIM Fender Strat for $450, and I would consider that a good deal these days. PRS SE Torero with a gig bag for $550. It seems about right. A Gibson Les Paul Classic with case for $1650. That is a good deal. Here are two guitars that I don't give a crap about. So Anderberg Guitars was there, and I talked to the owner for a while. Really nice guy. And I'll tell you what, these guitars are extremely well made. They're a tad heavy, like an older Gibson, but if that's what you're into, man, these things are sweet. Remember the 5-watt tube-powered Fender Vibrochamp XD? You know what? That sounds like a play for the Chiefs, right? All right, everybody, here we go. 5-watt tube-powered Fender Vibrochamp XD on one. Ready? Where was I? Here's one for just under $300. I had the Super Champ XD. I liked it, but I traded up for a Hot Rod Deluxe. An Epiphone Pathfinder amp from 1963 for $550. If you're into old tube amps, that is pretty cool. This picture is what a lot of the expo looked like to me. Tables full of guitars that I could not afford. Here's an American Strat with a hard case for $13.95, which to me, I don't know, is that about right? I'm not really sure. I mean, without the hard case, it seems a little much. With the case, probably fair. Here's an Epiphone Sheraton with a hard case for $7.95. Now, that is a little steep to me, but that is a nice guitar too, though. Here's a Gibson Les Paul Traditional with a hard case for $19.95, and that's not exactly discounted. That's about going rate. Now here we go. This is more like it. This is a pair of Ibanez Strats for around $300. That's speaking my language. And I'm calling them Strats, not S-types. If Fender wants to come after me, they can. In the 60s and the 70s, there were a bunch of crappy guitars with a lot of pickups, and for some reason, people want to collect these today. So for $350, you too can own a crap guitar from the 60s. But on the other hand, if I did want a crappy 60s guitar, this Silvertone for $375 would be what I would get. That is kind of cool, I have to admit it. This is a Univibe with a pedal and a case. That's cool. And here's a 1954 Gibson Les Paul for a mere $22,500. Probably come down to $22K. I didn't get a price on this ancient Les Paul, but I know it's expensive. Here's a cool 1962 Gibson Les Paul, later renamed the SG. So how much was this? Well, this one was marked down to a mere $23,000. A flash flood of gear was at the convention. Here's a original Rockman. Boy, did I want one of those when they came out. 1956 Fender Deluxe for $5,000. Man, it looks like it's from 56. What a cool amp. This guitar reminds me of the one that Frank Zappa used to play. You know, it's just kind of iconic. I really like the look of it. And here is a Gibson Les Paul Studio for $1,100. We're actually almost done. Slammo Custom Guitars was at the Expo. I have no idea what this old amp was, but how cool is it? I just love cool stuff like this. Oh boy, here we go. This sign was in the men's room at the convention hall. Do we really need pictures? Welcome to Florida, folks. Here's an old PRS Santana SE for $399. That's actually a good guitar, in my opinion. And oh boy, an actual Echoplex. Only $2,000. If I were rich, I'd totally buy it. And guess what? That was the Expo. On the drive home, I stopped at Cracker Barrel for dinner, and I got a free copy of Vintage Guitar magazine at the Expo because Vintage Guitar was one of the sponsors. So I did end up getting something. Let's see what I got. The convention was a lot of fun, as it always is. I talked to a lot of vendors, and I got the vibe that they didn't really want to be on YouTube, meaning that I asked one person, they said no, and then I didn't bother asking anyone else. There was another channel there shooting some video. I look forward to checking out their footage. They seem to have 2 people and like some fancier equipment. So if I can find their channel, I will link to it in the comments section below. So I went in hoping to find either an Epiphone SG or a Squier Jazzmaster for $300 or less because it needed some fretwork or something else that I could repair and make a video out of. Did I succeed? Yup. I got this 2011 Epiphone SG for $297 with a soft case. There are some signs of wear, but in general, it's in great shape, except for fret wear. So there's fret wear to indicate that whoever owned this before me played the blues in the key of A minor a lot. That's where the fret wear is. And of course, it comes with the world famous Epiphone Alnico Classic Mudbucker pickups. How do I know they're not Pro Buckers? Because I came home and played it through my system. That's how. They sound like mud, aka Mudbuckers. So anyway, I'm going to upgrade the pickup. I'm going to do a fret level crown, and it's going to be a beast. So why did it take me this long to get an SG, and why didn't I save up my money and get like a Gibson? Simple. I wanted an iconic looking SG, meaning I wanted the block inlays, not the dots, right? And you can't get a Gibson-made SG with block inlays for less than $1,000. The Gibson SG is a better guitar than this, but it's not 4 times better, especially after I put a really good pickup in here. The other reason I waited is the SG format kind of sucks. Play while seated, the neck's in a weird position, but you know what? I always wanted one for the right price, and under $300 was definitely the right price. Thanks for watching. I'm going to work on a video working on this guitar. I'm going to shoot it, I'm going to edit it, and then at some point in time I'm going to release it. And when I do, it will definitely be on a future Friday at 5.